What up, though? This is Brick. Nope. I need to take a shot then. Sorry. You can keep this in. Was that a shot work? That's nasty. Oh, I feel it. Ooh, hot. What up, though? What the fuck is baked after dark?
Shake them nerves, bitch, and let me see what you got. Shake them nerves, Bree, and let me see what you got.
So annoying. I'm gonna take another shot. Make it more authentic. Shout out to Dominic, he bought me this. Actually, I stole it. My name is Bree, and I'm being filmed against my will. You know, Bo Crowley makes some of my favorite fucking content, and this nigga I wonder if he really do shit in one take. You think so?
Sometimes, yes, people really do stuff in one take.
Bo Crowley, show me your ways. I can do one take when it's just me. I have a tyrant. Let's go from the top. Not one take. Take 1 million. 3, 2, 1. I'm drunk.
Exactly.
I feel like I look sexy right now. I hope that's true. What up, though? I'm Bree, and this is Baked After Dark. Some of you may know me from my live streams during the quarantine. And thank you so much for keeping me company. That was a really weird and lonely time for me, but it catapulted me into a really interesting opportunity. And that is Great Chocolate Showdown Season 3. Some of y'all might know me from there. If you haven't seen the show, spoiler alert, I did not win. Well, technically, I didn't walk away with the grand prize, but I absolutely won because I bought this lovely kitchen with my winnings from the show. And I've been rolling ever since. Tonight, we are going to be making one of my coveted recipes. It's one of my favorite things to make, and it's actually a bestseller on my website, bakedwithbrie.com. It's peach cobbler. It doesn't matter what time I post my peach cobbler. It could be 3 p.m., it could be 3 a.m. Somebody gonna see it, and enough people gonna see it, or at least buy enough where it's gonna sell out within minutes. It's like I can never make enough. It doesn't matter if I make like 1 batch or 20. It's gonna sell out. And tonight I want to make sure that you know how to make it, and I want to show you how easy it is to make your crust from scratch, because if you still buying crust from the store like your grandma, I'm trying to tell you, this is about to elevate your peach cobbler. Let's get started. The first thing is, there are a million ways to make peach cobbler, and I really didn't know that until the dawn of social media, because in my family we make it layered with peaches and crust, but I see a lot of peach cobbler recipes that have batter, which makes like a cake-like cobbler. I'm not saying that's not cobbler, but it's not cobbler that I want. So if you are somebody that's looking for a crusty peach cobbler that's got more crust than it does peaches, I'm about to show you how to make the crustiest peach cobbler this side of the Mississippi. So the secret to my peach cobbler is not just the crust, but also the peaches. A lot of peach cobblers, they're gonna use canned peaches, and I don't like that. I like to use frozen peaches. It tastes a little fresher to me. And our crust, we're not gonna cut corners. By the time you go and buy store-bought crust, I promise you, you can make your own. It's gonna be delicious. You're not gonna taste all those preservatives, and it's gonna take you like 2 seconds. Let's get started. We're gonna start by putting our peaches on the stove to simmer. I'm starting with about 3 pounds of frozen peaches. Now, you can get these from anywhere. Your local Kroger, your GFS, doesn't really matter. These are GFS peaches, sourced from Greece, but sometimes in the summertime, when I can find Georgia peaches, I'll use those, and I promise you, it makes all the difference. But for now, we're gonna just use what we got, and that's these frozen peaches.
Nice.
that, we're gonna add 1 cup of dark brown sugar. Now, does it matter whether it's light brown sugar or dark brown sugar? Well, that kind of depends on what your taste palette is. For me, I like a rich, thick peach cobbler, much like myself. So I'm gonna use dark brown sugar. Just a couple do. And then we also need regular white sugar. So I'm gonna use a cup of that as well. Now this is my peach cobbler spice blend. Now I'm gonna tell you, you can season to taste on this. I like to use nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, and ginger. Now, if you want the exact recipe, you'll have to go on my website to get it. But I'm gonna say season to taste for all intents and purposes. We're gonna throw that on over in there. To make our cobbler thick and rich, much like myself, we're gonna use 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, just as a thickener. We don't want our juices running all over the place. At least not in this scenario, we don't. And I'm also gonna add about a tablespoon of vanilla, just for a little razzle dazzle. I'm gonna put that on the stove to cook down a little bit while we make our dough. Now, it doesn't have to cook all the way through because we do have to bake the peach cobbler, and that's gonna cook our peaches as well. I'm gonna leave this part up to you guys' judgment. Personally, I don't like my peaches so soft that they're just kind of falling apart in my mouth. Wait a minute. Anyway, but I don't want them to have no crunch in them. For me, I like to cook my peach cobbler just so that the sugar granules are well dissolved and everything is well incorporated. That's about the same amount of time that it takes for us to make our crust. I'm gonna give this a quick stir and then we'll move on to our crust. All right, we're gonna let our peaches cook for a minute. We're gonna let all the sugars melt. So when we go back to our peaches, there should be no sugar crystals. In the meantime, we're gonna make our crust. It's super easy, super simple. In a bowl, I just have flour, sugar, and salt. I'm gonna put the exact recipe down below in the comments so that y'all can see the measurements, but it's not a lot of anything. So I'm gonna put that in a bigger bowl because I'm gonna just go ahead and mix in this bowl right here. So this is our flour, sugar, and salt. And to that, we're gonna add 3 sticks of butter. Yes. And to that, we're gonna add 3 sticks of butter, which is a cup and a half. I like my peach cobbler crusty, and like y'all do too. How do I know? Because my sales. We don't waste no butter. If you don't have a rubber spatula, like, what are you even doing? You definitely need one. Like, how are you cooking in your kitchen and dropping shit like me? But how are you cooking in your kitchen without a rubber spatula? I would really like to know. Sound off in the comments. Like, are y'all just washing the rest of your batter down the drain? That's money. Scrape that. All right, so this is what we have so far. I forgot we overhead too. So this is what we have so far. Now, I have a pastry cutter because I'm a baker. I understand everybody doesn't have one. If you don't have one, grab a good old fork. It literally does the same thing, but I promise you, invest in one of these. They're like $7. This is a Martha Stewart one. Martha, if you're watching this, girl, I really want to bake with you. You know, I've been a fan since like the 90s, which weirdly was like 30 years ago. But if you see this, girl, you need me and I need you. And if you don't know what that means, or you don't know like how you need me, then you need to DM me. And if any of y'all know Martha Stewart by chance, tell her to call me. We need to bake. Anyway, this is a Martha Stewart branded pastry cutter. It was like $7 at my local Meijer. I'm in Michigan. You might not have Meijer. Maybe you got Harris Teeter. Maybe you got Publix, but they should have something like this. The Dollar Tree even sell them. Super inexpensive, and they're not just for pie crust. You can use them for biscuits. You can use them for anything where you want to blend flour into pastry, or I'm sorry, anything that you want to blend flour into butter without, you know, working too hard. Because if you're gonna use a fork, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna work a little harder than us with the pastry cutter, but it's fine. It's still really easy. Let's get started. All right, so listen, if you ain't got no elbow grease, I need you to go to the store and get some of that, because this is gonna take some elbow grease. And listen, I know I said it was gonna be quick and simple, and that's still true, but it's a little bit of work. But I promise you the end result is more than worth it. So we just gonna take our pastry cutter, and this is actually cold butter. The reason we want to use cold butter in our crust is because it makes the flake crusty. That's not what I want to say. It makes the crust flaky. The reason we want to use cold butter in our crust is because that is what's going to get us a flaky crust. Same thing with our water. If you notice, there's a big ass ice cube in my cup of water, because the colder your water, the flakier your crust. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't want no tough crust on my peach cobbler. I need it to be soft and savory and melt on your tongue. You know what I mean? So it's all about the ingredients. While we're cutting this through, I want to let you guys know that after cutting, like, make sure that you are going through. You see how the butter is getting kind of stuck in the cutter, or maybe in your fork. But you want to just keep scraping that off and re-adding it to the flour. You want to get the flour worked down from these small cubes to more like pea-sized bites. You don't want to completely blend it into the flour, because we don't want to make too much gluten. And also, those big pieces of butter melting when it bakes is what helps us get those flaky layers. You know, peach cobbler is really the official dessert of the Fine Aunties. Now, Bree, how do the Fine Aunties have an official dessert? I don't know. I made it up, but it is now. And you know, what makes you a Fine Auntie? Is it age? Is it beauty? No, not really. I mean, kinda, right? Like, I'm in the auntie age bracket, I think. I'm in my late 30s, but like, what makes me an auntie is not my age, and what makes me fine is obviously my beauty, but not necessarily my beauty. It's you know, do you contribute to the community around you? When you see a kid like doing wrong or needing help, do you stop and help? Do you stop to course correct out in the wild? If you do, then you're an auntie. And if you're fine, then you're a fine auntie. See what I did there? So we're just getting this well incorporated. I'm stopping every now and again and scraping my pastry cutter. This is the equivalent to stopping and scraping the bowl. Now listen, those of y'all that are here from my live streams know I love to stop and scrape, because baby, we don't waste no ingredients. And we stop and scrape because we want everything that we make to be well mixed. When you have bakes that are not well mixed, then you get bakes that are not that good, because they're not cohesive. You know, if you don't mix this well, then you're gonna just have random bouts of flour and all types of carrying on, and well, I really want that. So right now, my flour is kind of where I need it to be. I finished scraping my pastry cutter, blender. I don't know if this is called a cutter or a blender. I kind of feel like I've seen it referred to as both. But you know what I'm talking about. This thing right here. It's like brass knuckles for a baker. Because, you know, it cut pastries, but I wouldn't want to get hit with this. Would you? We're going to throw it in the sink because we done with this for now. Now, this is what our flour butter mixture looks like. If you can tell, there are bigger pieces in here. My hands are clean. Please relax for the glove police. And that's exactly what we want. This is exactly the consistency that we want. Now, I have a ton of water in here. We're only gonna use probably about 1/4 cup to a full cup, but when it comes to ice water, I always try to make sure that I have more than enough, because it's easier to just pour out the rest of the ice water than to try to make more ice water. You need cold water for this. Usually in baking, I tell you to use warm ingredients or room temperature ingredients, and this is the exception to the rule. And if you've been here for any length of time, you know I love breaking rules. So this is a rule break, and I'm a fan. So from here, let me move this random sugar because I already listed what's in the dry ingredients. So as you can see, I did put a glove on, and that's just because I don't like how the dough gets sticky on my hands, but you don't have to use a glove. For most things, like especially while you're learning how to make this crust, I recommend you do it ungloved because you need to feel what the dough feels like. It should come together. It should be not sticky. Like it shouldn't, if you touch the dough like this, it shouldn't leave like your fingerprint on wherever you touch, right? So, but for this purpose, we're gonna use a glove. But if you ain't got a glove, that's fine. Wash your hands though. Nobody wants typhoid. I'm gonna start off with about a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Now listen, if your granny don't make it this way, that's fine. My peach cobbler is better than your granny's, so deal with it. To that, we're also gonna add some of our ice water. Now, here's the trick. The ice water, you're gonna see, we're gonna add just a little bit at a time because it's easier to add more. You cannot take away. A lot of people say that they don't like baking because baking is nothing but the point of no return. Once you put it in the oven, it's a wrap. If it don't work or you ain't do something right, you gotta start all over. Much like filming this episode with my producer right now. This is my millionth take.
You're welcome.
Anyway, so I just added just a little bit, and you can see that the dough is I got a ball forming, but I got a lot that's not in this ball. So you want to keep adding the water little by little until everything comes into a cohesive ball, but you don't want it wet. This is the one scenario where we kind of want to be dry. Giggity. Make sure that, you are also kind of moving quickly with this because the heat from your hand, which is another reason I'm wearing a glove, the heat from your hand will melt the butter. We don't want that. So I'm just working this in. I'm gonna just keep adding water little by little until it's combined. Just combined, because when it's just combined, I can work the rest of the flour in, and I don't want to overwork the dough because overworking the dough makes more gluten chains. Now listen, some of y'all might know that I'm a nerd, but some of y'all, are new here. I love the science of baking. I love science, and prior to my professional career, I was actually a pharmacy major, so I'm very good at chemistry and math and all those kinds of things. Measurements, numbers are my thing. And so part of the reason that I'm good at baking is because I'm good at science. Science and baking go hand in hand. This is just chemical reactions that we are making, and we're making them delicious. So one of the chemical reactions of baking is gluten chains. And basically, the more you work wheat dough, the more gluten chains that it forms. So this is a good thing, like when you're making bread, right? Because you want bread to have a lot of structure. You want it to hold up. You don't want it to melt when you're trying to make a sandwich. Pie crust, not so much. You don't want the same sturdiness in pie crust that you would have in bread. So we don't want to overwork the dough. And as you can see, I got flour everywhere, but it's fine. We're gonna clean it up. I got enough in the bowl and we're gonna keep rolling. But as you can see, my dough has just become combined. I'm stopping my water now. I got a ton left, but I don't need no more. Listen, baking is not one of those things where you gotta use everything you got. The more you bake, the more you build discernment, and understand that when enough is enough. So we're just gonna work this dough until the sides of our bowl are kind of coming clean like they are. All right, and now I'm gonna turn it out onto my surface, my clean surface, which I hope you're working from a clean kitchen, clean surface as well. Please don't bake in a dirty kitchen. Not only is it gross, it's dangerous. And I'm gonna have to let this dough rest a little bit and set up so that we can roll it out for our cobbler. To do that, I'm just working it back into a ball. Spank it if you must. And so that it chills faster, I'm gonna cut the ball in half and make 2 balls. Anyway. Off camera you can't see, but I have some film wrap, saran wrap, whatever you want to call it. I guess I'll just slide it over. Don't fall. My producer said this don't have to be perfect, so y'all gonna see me drop stuff, you're gonna see me scream. If you stick around long enough, you might see me burn myself, because that's how I really operate in the kitchen. And if you've been here for a while, you know that. My kitchen is controlled chaos. And honestly, if you've ever been in any commercial kitchen, that's what it is too. But this kitchen is also a safe space. I want y'all to come here and kick it with me. The world is really crazy right now, especially if you are in a marginalized demographic. And you know, everybody wants to tell you that you gotta be alert at all times and be woke and be aware of what's going on. Yeah, that's true, be aware of the world around you, but sometimes we just need to unplug and bake some shit. And that's what I'm here for. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, so these are our 2 dough balls. We're gonna put these in the refrigerator and let them cool. Can you pop these in the freezer real quick? We're gonna have to take a little break while they firm up for like 5 minutes.
I'm not on payroll. Gosh.
God damn it, Mark. Did you watch E40 Tiger Guys?
I have not
watched
it.
Nigga, it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
I just want to hear.
This nigga, he transitioned Sprinkle Me into Captain Save 'Em.
Oh.
Nigga, you gotta watch it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good.
I can't wait to watch it. I love E40.
Oh man, me too. I like that. I'm E38. E37.
I'm so happy I'm recording this.
You ain't shit. Alright. Alright. Our dough is ready. Our peaches are cooked. Let's get rolling. Let's see what I did there. Because are you an auntie if you don't have puns on deck? I personally don't think so. But you know, your ministry is your ministry. Shout out to my aunties, not just for having the jokes on deck, but for taking the time to teach me how to bake. A lot of my baking skills actually come from my aunties. My peach cobbler, I learned how to bake from my Aunt Beck, rest in peace. She's my great aunt on my dad's side. And in my family, the reason the peach cobbler is so good is because we don't have just one crust. We have 2. Now listen, 2 crusts, I know you like, bitch, that's a pie. Absolutely not. See, it's a pie when the crust is on the bottom. What we're gonna do is put a crust in the middle. And what that does is create this dumpling. Now listen, I'm drooling actually. My mouth just filled up with saliva when I said that, because the dumpling is my favorite part of peach cobbler. My uncle Fat Cat, God rest his soul, also taught me how to make peach cobbler. Also on my dad's side of the family, so you know, It's the same recipe with just a little spin. But the difference between my Aunt Beck's recipe and my Uncle Fat Cat's recipe is that my Uncle Fat Cat used to actually put a double layer of dumplings. So he used to have 3 crusts in his peach cobbler. And the only reason he used to do it that way is because he knew the dumpling was my favorite part. And I was his favorite niece. So shout out to him. I miss him very much. And every time I make peach cobbler, I think of him because his peach cobbler was my absolute favorite. So I'm gonna show you how to make a similar version. We're not doing 3 layers, but we're gonna do 2, like my Aunt Beck. So shout out to her. Our peaches are completely cooked. Y'all see my Golden Girls coasters? Those of you that know me in real life know my dream is to be a golden girl. Like, I want to live in a beautiful house, post-husband. You know, I'm not saying I hope that my husband dies before me, but statistically, women live longer than men, and it's mainly because men just do dumb stuff. Like, why are you standing on a ladder that's on a scaffolding that's held up by a string? Like, sir, what are you doing, right? So it's always been my dream to live kind of like post-husband as a golden girl, but being that I don't have a husband yet, that just might be my plan A. And I'm completely fine with that because, baby, they had the hoes and they had the cheesecake. And if it's 2 things I love, it's hoes and cheesecake. But that's not what we're making here. Back to this peach cobbler. Now, usually I like to let my peach cobbler cool overnight, let the flavors, you know, develop a bit, but, you know, we got a tyrant of a producer over here, so we got to keep shit rolling. I'm gonna go ahead and ladle in my first layer of cobbler. Let me get this under the... Oh God, this shit smells so good. Can you smell it? Don't worry. I'm gonna feed you something. You know, I love peach cobbler. It's what I like to call an ancestral dessert. Not only because in my family it was passed down from generation to generation. Like I said, I learned how to make it from my uncle and my great aunt. But because you know how peach cobbler came to be? Back in the day, you know, they would give us scraps. Us meaning those of us that are descendants of chattel slavery in the United States. And they would give us rotten peaches to be funny. But you know, the resilience of black folk, we gonna make the best of what we got. And so this delicious staple of our culture literally came from rotten fruit. And I just think that's beautiful. And in the world that we live today with so much waste, especially when it comes to food, it's just something to keep in mind, right? Because how many times have you let the produce in your refrigerator just like age into oblivion? Well, if it's fruit and it ain't moldy, you might be able to do something with it. And peach cobbler is one of those things. So now I have my first layer of peaches. This is what we're starting with. Because if the bottom ain't peaches and it's crust, baby, that's a pie, not a cobbler. Now, some people, they just lay peaches and then bake a crust on top. That's peach cobbler. It's fine, but it ain't better than mine. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Starting again with a clean work surface. Now you need a rolling pin. Now listen, I know if you're not a baker, you don't have a rolling pin. You got a bottle of wine? Listen, not a bottle of like thick wine, you know, not the curvy bottle of wine. I need a straight side bottle of wine. You got one of those? Okay, go grab it. That's gonna be your rolling pin. We're gonna make it do what it do. Listen, we just talked about resilience and how we made something out of nothing. I need you to go get a wine bottle. We're gonna dust our surface lightly with a little bit of all-purpose flour. This is so our dough doesn't stick, obviously. Now, one of the things people always ask me is like, Bree, I suck at forming dough. So for this, I'm using a square, well, rectangular dish. So I'm gonna start by patting this into like a little rectangle before I start rolling. That's the key to starting to shape your dough without overworking it. And if you're using your wine bottle, you're gonna just put your hands on. I got a wine bottle in the refrigerator. No, okay. You're gonna just use the fat part. Don't rest your hands on the neck at all. So if this is a wine bottle and this is the body of the, that looks suggestive. If this is a wine bottle, I'm Vanna White, Vanna Black, Brianna Brown. If this is your wine bottle and this is the neck and this is the body, you want to use this portion. We're gonna forget that this is here, okay? And you want to use your weight, okay? Like the weight of your body. Don't try to just push with your shoulders and your arms. You're gonna hurt yourself. Put the weight of your body into it, and we're gonna start by rolling it lengthwise. Then we're gonna turn it. I'm gonna get my bench scraper, or not. Luckily I have an extra one because it's the one I'm looking for. I don't know where it's at. And I just dropped my key. And then we're gonna turn it about 90 degrees, and then we're gonna roll the other direction. And we're gonna keep doing that until it's about quarter of an inch thick, maybe a little thinner, maybe an eighth of an inch. But essentially until it is wide enough to fit over our 9x13 baking dish, which I didn't even tell y'all that this was a 9x13 baking dish. This recipe will fill a 9x13 baking dish, just FYI. So we want to roll this just thin enough, just wide enough to cover this baking dish with a little bit of slack. This is going to be our dumpling layer, the best layer. Because, you know, pastry, it's like people. Sometimes it's not what's on the outside that's the best part. You think so. That's what gets you attracted to it, right? You see a cup of peach cobbler, you want it because you know it's peach cobbler and it's sexy. Do everybody think peach cobbler is sexy? I think peach cobbler is sexy. I feel like everybody knows somebody named Peaches. Peaches is probably somebody fine auntie, and she probably sexy. She probably keep her hair done, nails done, smell good, you know. She got on Baccarat Rouge or something. She keep a fresh French pedicure. You know, I know that's not a thing now. All the hoes want white toes, but not Peaches. Peaches want that. She want that classic. She classic. She's timeless. Just like this peach cobbler. So now we got this dough rolled out just as thick as we want. And I'm gonna show y'all an easy trick. Now I'm gonna show y'all two ways to lay this dough easily. The first way that we're gonna do it with this piece is to take the smallest part and just roll around your rolling pin or wine bottle if that's what you're using. And then take it over the dish and roll it over the dish. Okay? Now, some people gonna tell you to trim it right here. I'm not, because we got more peaches to add, okay? And I'm gonna trim after that. So we come back to our pot with a coaster so that we don't damage our surface. And actually, now that we've got our bottom layer in, we can just dump the rest in. Get this centered. We're gonna dump the rest in. Get that. Now listen, if you want more peaches, you can add another pound or two, and you don't have to adjust the rest of the recipe at all. It's all up to you. For me, I like more crust than I like peaches, but maybe you're a person that likes more peaches than crust. Bree, don't judge. Do what suits you, but this recipe will work with an extra pound of peaches. Let me wipe that up. If you get peach juice on your surface, your work surface, please wipe it up because your dough is gonna stick to that. We don't want that. I'm gonna re-flour my surface slightly. You don't want mounds and mounds of flour on the dough when you roll it out. You don't want to make your peach juice like weird and cloudy. Let me get my fork. Ah! I hate when my lock gets stuck to my nose, right? We're gonna just take a fork and spread these out evenly, because that's this side of the peaches, or the peach cobbler wasn't evenly distributed. Okay, it's all about ratios here. Now, some of y'all are not math people, and I respect that, but make it even. You want a consistent bite all the way through. If you give your auntie and your grandma both a piece of peach cobbler, you want them to be equally amazed at how delicious it is. I'm telling you, if you make this and take this to the family function, you are going to be the designated peach cobbler person for the rest of your days. So if you don't want to be that person, keep this to yourself. Don't take it to the family function. But if you want to flex and you want to outbake your auntie, keep watching. All right, this is our second dough. Chilled, rested, well developed. And we rolling. Same concept as before. This one's been out a little bit more, so I need to add a little bit more flour to the top. If you can tell, my rolling pin picked up a little bit of my dough and a little bit of those butter pockets that I had for the flakiness, and we don't really want that. At this point, we could pop it back into the refrigerator, but it's not completely room temperature. It's still kind of cool, so we can still work with it. Just add a little bit more flour. Now, if you overfloured your work surface, then you could probably just flip it over, but I floured mine very lightly, so I just need a little bit on top. And we're gonna roll the same way as before. Putting all of our weight consistently up and down while we're rolling. We're gonna turn it 90 degrees and roll the other way. We rolling, literally. Bless you. Hey, stop that sneezing.
Such an auntie.
I know. So tell me in the comments, if you're an auntie, how long have you been an auntie? Personally, I don't even know if I should tell y'all. I be telling my age. Actually, my black ain't cracking, so I don't mind telling my age. I've been an auntie since 1997. It's a long time. But you know, being an auntie has been very much one of the greatest joys of my life. My niece and nephews are wonderful. I would say children, but most of them are not kids no more. I only got 2 that's still kids. The rest of them, they're so old they stink. All right, so we got our dough rolled out. Is this a rectangle? Not really. All right, I'm drunk, you're drunk, everybody's drunk. Maybe you're not drunk, but I'm drunk. This is good enough. It's gonna cover what we need to cover, and we're gonna trim away the excess so it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? That's the beauty of peach cobbler. The rough edges, the messiness of it, it all works. It works. Trust the recipe, okay? So with the first layer of crust, I showed y'all how to roll it on the pan. This time, we're just gonna get our pastry scraper because our dough is warming up because my kitchen is hot. And scrape it so it doesn't tear. And now, I actually don't like how thick this part was when I picked it up. So I'm gonna roll that out a little bit more because we want consistency. We want the same bite every time. I want you to have the same bite on your first cup of peach cobbler as the same as your 5th cup of peach cobbler. Now listen, if you want your peach cobbler all willy-nilly, that's your business, but I'm teaching you how to do it the right way. All right, so now that we got it rolled out consistently, we're gonna fold it on itself real quick and then align it with our baking dish. And just drape it over. This is our peach cobbler. Take a small paring knife and just cut around the edges. Quick and easy. Now, if you are of the no waste mindset, you can save this dough for later. Something that I personally like to do is make peaches and dumplings. You ever had anything like that? My God, peaches and dumplings. My goodness. You just take this same recipe, and while it's cooking, throw this dough in there and let it cook all the way through. I promise you, throw some ice cream on top of it, you in business. But this is our peach cobbler. Now, you might say, Bree, why is it all open around the ends? So, you know, usually when you make things like pies and cobblers, you vent the middle so that the steam can escape as it's cooking. But when you leave the edges like this in the middle, or I'm sorry, when you leave the edges like this, you don't have to vent the middle because the steam is going to escape around here because you have not created a seal. That's personally how I like to cook my peach cobbler, but if that's not your jam, then go ahead, take it all the way to the edges and make your vent in the middle. It's your kitchen. This is just what we doing in my kitchen. You can make your peach cobbler however you like, whatever speaks to your soul. But you should cook it in a preheated oven, preheated to 350 degrees. Now, why a preheated oven? Because we are using cold butter. And if you put this into a cold oven and let the oven come to temperature, your crust, it just ain't gonna be right. It's gonna cook slow and then fast, and nobody wants that. So we want consistent cooking all the way through. We're gonna preheat our oven to 350 and pop this in for about an hour. You'll know it's done when it's golden brown all the way across, and the dumpling is gonna cook all the way through because the sugar is hot as hell. Please be careful. Okay, it's been an hour. Our peach cobbler is out of the oven and cooled. Listen, I need y'all to be patient. Baking is all about patience, but so is enjoying the bake. You don't want peach cobbler. Maybe you do. Some people like it straight out the oven. I recommend not eating peach cobbler straight out the oven because once it cools, the flavors really have a chance to develop. The sugar gets a chance to settle, and the butter, you can just taste it. So this is our completely cooked and cool peach cobbler. It baked in the oven at 350 for about an hour. Your oven may be different, especially depending on where you live. Higher altitudes, you may have to adjust. But you basically want to bake it until it's golden brown, just like mine. And if you can see the pockets that I left around, the crust shrunk in just a little bit and allowed more of a venting. So my cobbler did not bubble over. If you don't leave that space and you don't vent the top, your cobbler is going to bubble over and you're going to have the worst mess in your oven to clean out. I promise you, you don't want it. Okay. Also, when you bake this, please bake it on a baking dish. And I'm using a glass baking dish. Your oven times will vary if you're using metal. Metal baking dishes bake faster than glass. So, FYI. Bake it till it's golden brown, depending on how your oven works and what you bake it in. Get it? Got it? Good. Let's eat some. Look how flaky my crust is. That is why we leave those little butter pockets. And personally, I like a corner piece, but do whatever works for you. And I'm serving mine in a martini glass. Now you might say, Bree, where's your ice cream? I don't want none. Where's your ice cream? Eat it how you want to eat it. We not having ice cream over here. But there it is. That is our peach cobbler. And I've been waiting to eat it all day. Everything's an innuendo. I got so much crust. That's why I like a corner piece, because it's the crustiest piece. Get a good amount of crust, good amount of peach, perfect bite. You want some? No, really, do you want some? My producer off camera. Listen, Thank y'all so much for baking with me. I really hope you make this at home. If you do, please use my hashtag #BakedAfterDark. I want to see it, and I want to see how good it turned out. And even if it failed, let me know. Let me help you. If you fail at making this, we need to get on a one-on-one call because I need to know why you can't follow directions. Now, I'm gonna judge you, but I am gonna look at you sideways. Thank y'all so much for baking with me tonight. I had a blast. I hope you did too. And I hope to see you back next week. We're gonna bake something real good, I promise. See y'all soon. Stay sweet.